Well, hey y'all, and welcome to the Hillbilly Chicken Ranch. I'm Susan, your hostess, and we're in my kitchen this morning. I hope that you're having a lovely day. We are in March into Canning 25, hosted by me, the Hillbilly Chicken Ranch. This is an open collaboration, March 1st through the 31st. We will be showcasing freezer cleanouts, great sales on meats, vegetables, fruits, getting your garden ready for garden season, dehydration, dry goods, fresh or frozen foods, canning, uh, just about everything that we can, and yes, can. Rebel canning, if they explain the recipe is safe, we might be cleaning out our pantry shelves, organization, and removing unusable jars, showcasing canning equipment, maintenance, and storage space. If you want to participate in this, all you have to do is use the hashtag March into Canning 25 at the Hillbilly Chicken Ranch and use the official playlist in the description box below the video. So let's get canning. What am I doing today? Well, we purchased some chicken leg pieces, and we got a really good deal on these a few weeks ago. They were $1.07 a pound, y'all. So this one is right at 3 pounds. We paid $3.15. I've got 3 packages of this. I'm going to get them into jars because we enjoy chicken legs every now and then, and it's always nice to have ugly chicken on the shelf, let me tell you. So yes, we're raw packing. I'm doing something different this time around. I'm going to be using some jerk seasoning with these because we like everything spicy and hot in our home. So why not use the spice in the jar? So I'm going to get these cleaned up. I noticed that some of them still have some feathers on them. I always rinse my chicken, wash it good, and get it drained. And then we're going to get them into 1.5 canning jars, wide mouth. You want to use wide mouth jars with these. I'm going to pressure can this for my altitude. It's 10 pounds of pressure for 90 minutes because it's not a quart and it's not a pint, but it's in between. So I'm going to go up with my time and do for 90 minutes. Let's get started. For this recipe, I am using a 16-quart Presto pressure canner, a jar lifter, a lid lifter. This is a debubbler, but it also has a measure on the top because you need to have your meat in the jar at least an inch or a little less in your jar. I'm using white vinegar, 5% to clean my jars. I've got my bands and my lids clean. I just took the jars out of my dishwasher, so I made sure that I cooled them off with cold water before I can because everything is going into my canner cold. The chicken's cold, my jars are cold, the water in my canner is cold. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get started with this, but I am using some jerk seasoning. This is Jamaican style jerk seasoning. I've never used it before, so I'm going to guesstimate for the amount that I have, maybe 1 to 2 tablespoons of the jerk seasoning to make sure that they're coated on the outside. I don't wear rubber gloves, so I will be washing my hands a lot. I've got a clean rag sitting here, soapy rag, ready to go. So let's get started. All right, so I've got my chicken cleaned and I've gotten all of the feathers off of the joint there, or the majority of them. It's not going to hurt you if you get a feather in your food. However, it is the aesthetic of it. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to do 1 tablespoon of this. And I'm thinking maybe a half a tablespoon will be plenty for this chicken. So I'm going to be washing my hand after I do this part. If you have an aversion to handling raw meat, you may want to skip over this part of the video. So I'm going to just go in here and we're just going to move these around and make sure that everything gets coated. And you want your chicken to be defrosted because you don't want any busted jars coming out of your canner. And I'm just going to make sure that everything is getting rubbed down with this seasoning. So we're kind of experimenting a little bit with seasoning this, and some of these have broken legs. That's what happens when you get a good sell on meat sometimes. So we're just going to make sure that they're all kind of coated with that seasoning. It doesn't have to be on there thick because it's going to be spicy. And I missed some feathers, so I'm going to just pluck those out and continue on. It's a good way to inspect your chicken before you can it. Here's some more feathers. And I think that's pretty good. We're going to move on and get them into our jars. Let me wash my hands. Just going to go ahead and pull my towel over here too. So I've got my jars set up, and I usually get 4 legs per jar. So I'm going to start with this jar since you can see it in the camera angle. And the first leg is going to go in fat side down. The second leg is going to go fat side up. And I'm going to go ahead and remove that because it's just easier to do this. Third leg is going in fat side up. And the fourth leg will go in. And you may have to really push to get it underneath that 1-inch mark into your jar. So that is the rule of thumb. I'm going to start with the fat end down, 1 up, third one in, and then the fourth one in. There's not going to be any use of trying to get your air pockets out of this when it's packed like this, but you still can run a skewer or something down in there just to release the air that might be trapped in your jars. 1 down, 1 up, 2 up, and 3 up. You got to really push to get them in there. 1 down, 1 up, 2 up, 3 up. This was a little over 9 pounds of meat. So we might just get the 6 out of this, and I might cook the rest of them for supper. I've got 9 1.5 pint jars ready though to go. 3, and 4. One, 2, 3. Let's get them down in there. And 4. And I'm not going to add any salt to this because the meat has already got, the marinade already has some salt in it. Let me wash my hands. And for curiosity's sake, I do have 2 legs left over. I'm going to put those in the refrigerator, and we're going to have those for supper tonight just to try them out and see how we like them. So I pulled out a skewer, and I'm just going to run the skewer down into this because there's going to be air pockets, but you want to loosen them up from the edge of the jar so that the air can escape. And I did fill up another jar, so I have 7 jars going into my canner. I like to have it as full as possible when I'm running the canner because you're running your electric or your gas, and you know, waste not, want not. So if you can get an extra jar in the canner that will go with the temperature that you're going at, go for it. Now it's time to wipe the rims and get our jar lids set on our jars so that they'll be ready to go into our canner. Because these are very, very cold, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start my canner before I apply my lid. And the reason I'm doing that is I don't want my jars to break because they are so much colder than when you put all that heat in there. So we're going to be really, really careful with that. And I'm actually going to wipe the jars a couple of times with the vinegar to make sure I've got any fat that might have come on the outside of the jars off the rims. You're also checking for little cracks or anything that you might have missed when you did a finger test on your jars. So I'm going to move those out of the way. We're going to grab our first canning lid and apply. Get these all covered. And I may have to go and get another band because I think I only pulled 6 bands out. We'll get that when we get to that point. Okay. So you want to make sure you're not touching the gasket, but you want to center that flat on your jar. Then you're going to use one finger to hold the flat down while you're dropping your band on. Make sure it's going on straight. It should be like that. Then you're going to finger tight. And finger tight just means it's going to stop turning. So there is the chicken in the jar. Pretty cool, huh? We're going to continue on until I get all of these in here. I'm going to go find my extra band, and we'll get this canner started. Okay, I have my jars in my canner. My phone is moving, y'all. I'm sorry. But I have my jars in my canner. I've turned my burner on to the sweet spot, or just a little below the sweet spot, to slowly bring that temperature up so that my jars don't burst. And then I'm going to allow this to all come up to temperature, apply my lid. Then I'm going to vent it for 10 minutes, apply my weight, and Once it starts jiggling, then I'll set my timer for 90 minutes. We'll be back when they come out of the canner. Well, here's our ugly Jamaican jerk chicken legs, and they are coming out and they are sealing as they came out of the canner. I think I only have one jar that hasn't sealed yet, and hopefully it does soon. These will sit on my counter for 12 to 24 hours. Then I will remove the bands, check the seals, wash my jars, get them labeled and into the pantry. That's 7 meals for us in just a couple of hours. Can y'all see all that beautiful broth those chicken legs put off? And that's going to contain collagen because a lot of the bones inside those chicken legs will dissolve from being pressure canned. This is March into Canning 25, hosted by me, the Hillbilly Chicken Ranch. It is an open collaboration for the whole month of March. Let's get ready to march into canning, y'all. Thank you so much for watching, and may you be fully blessed.